and welcome to the Randell Fisher Show. I am your host, Randell Fisher.
And I'm your co-host, Patrice Fisher.
I am excited tonight. We have an exciting show tonight.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about finances tonight.
Finances?
Finances is sometimes a tough situation to talk about. So tonight we just want to get right into it. And we're here tonight for you. Have any questions for us, give us a call at 240-719-2560.
Yes.
First, we always like to say at the onset of the show, we're not life coaches. We're just people with life experiences. And we are believers of Jesus Christ. And yes, at the end of the show, we'd like for you to call in and want to give your life over to Christ. But if you decided that's not what you want to do, we still want you to call in and talk to us at 240-719-2560. Tonight, I'm excited. I'm really excited for our guest tonight. We have on the show tonight, Loria McLeod.
Yes.
Loria McLeod, we are happy to have you here. Tell us a little something about yourself, Ms. McLeod.
I'm from the DMV area.
All right.
Born and raised, and went to PG County Schools, went to Parkdale High School.
Okay.
That's actually kind of like how I got into even being interested in money and accounting and anything like that. My favorite teacher in high school was a teacher named Ms. Mims.
Okay.
And she taught me accounting.
Wow.
It was an accounting course. I don't even know if they do accounting courses now in high school anymore.
Oh, no,
But yeah, so that kind of got me into it. So when I first left high school, I went and joined the military. I did that, and then when I came back home, I was supposed to go to University of Pittsburgh, but I decided to stay home because kind of got homesick when I was gone.
Sure.
So I stayed home and I went to PG, and I started a major in business administration and accounting. And so I did my 2-year degree, getting my associate's degree there. And then I carried my education forward by going to University of Maryland University College, where I got my bachelor's degree in business administration and accounting.
Okay.
So after I did that, I went straight into getting my master's degree in accounting and financial management, which that took a while. I went through a lot of things while I was getting my master's degree, even with a year of unemployment. But I was strategic in how I spent my money at the time, because when you don't have a job, you definitely have to be disciplined. And that's when you definitely have to, stay the course to your budget, and you can't overspend, because when you only dependent on an unemployment check, which is definitely not the amount that you usually used to coming in as income, you really can get yourself in a little hoopla, and you don't want to get yourself in any damage financially, especially when you don't have a job.
Okay, so she gave a shout out to Miss Mims tonight, so we thank God for her. So tell me something. We talk about finances, and some people, finances is taboo. It's a bad thing. Nobody wants to discuss it, especially in married couples. Sometimes the men don't want to talk about their finances. They have a tough time talking about finance. Tell us some of the myths about debt.
Some myths about debt. Let me see. Some myths is that you can't get out of it.
Y'all heard that?
One thing is that you know that you can get out of anything if you put your mind to it. You have to definitely be disciplined. So that's definitely a myth. You can get out of debt no matter how big it is. And there's ways and different avenues that people can take to get out of debt. So if you do the research, you can get yourself out of anything. Another one could be some people just feel like they don't have enough money. You just don't have enough money to reach your goal financially, or to get your budget down to a place where you can really afford it. So why even attempt to even have a budget, because I don't even have enough money to maintain myself. So you definitely have enough money. You just have to learn how to cut back on some things. There's a difference between your need list and your want list. And some people converge to both of them. And some things that you have on your list as bills is not things that you need.
That's good.
I mean, not things that the things that you want, you have placed them as things that you need.
Yes.
So those are two major myths that people usually use to not get themselves out of debt and get themselves on a budget. Even if you don't have debt, you should have a budget, period.
Should have a budget.
Wow.
Even if you don't have a lot of debt. Because you should have goals that you want to reach financially.
Is there an age limit on setting those goals? I know now that entrepreneurs and businessmen and women are starting in high school. Do you think that children can start in middle school as far as establishing or building their finances? Because sometimes parents, they will give allowance. I don't know if they still do it, but you get an allowance. Say, for instance, a parent gives their child an allowance every week for cleaning up. Is there something that you could say to a child, perhaps in their teens, early teens, as far as how they can start saving their money a little at a time?
Well, I think that definitely there's a lot of people who are doing different business academies for kids. One thing that you can do if you got kids in your home and they're having their own business, one thing is you teach them how to run their business.
Okay.
So if they have a lemonade stand, you're going to say, okay, I'm giving you $100. This is your capital.
Okay.
Because anytime you start a business, of course, you need startup money. So this is your $100, and after this, I'm not going to give you any more money. You have to make the money to sustain your business.
Wow, that's good.
So when you give them that capital money, they're going to go and they're going to buy a product.
Okay.
They're going to go buy the product that they need, but they need to be able to establish how much it's going to cost. How much is the lemonade going to cost? How much is the stand going to cost? If you're going to hire personnel, how much is that going to cost? How much money do you need to generate in order for you to cover your expenses?
That's good.
Because if you don't generate enough money, then you're going to be bankrupt. So these are things that you have to teach your kids. You sit them down and say, okay, we're going to create a budget. So here's how much money you starting out with. All right, now you have how much money you spending. From what you're spending, if you're going to spend $50 on product, already you need to make $50 to replace what you already spent out.
Yes.
Now you want to get to a place where you have a net income, you have a surplus. So you're saying, okay, well, this month I want to make $1,000. So how many lemonades do you need to sell to make $1,000? So then you have to just begin it. How much do you? And then also you have to go back to how much you want to sell it for. Because then you have to research the market. How much are lemonades going? Lemonades are $5 a cup at Starbucks, but they might be $3 a cup at Dunkin' Donuts. So then you begin to do those things. So you teach your kids how to market their product. So you learn that at a young age. By the time they're 20 and 21 and 30, they'll be rock stars.
Well, you hear tonight, we're talking about lemonade stands, how to start a lemonade stand for all you children that want to start a lemonade stand, or you parents who want your children to do something.
Yes.
So give us a call tonight at 240-719-2560 if you have any questions about finances on tonight. Well, Gloria, tell me something. How were you when you were a child with money?
Well, let me just say a little bit about my childhood. I had a really great childhood. I didn't have a whole lot of issues and problems. But my mother was very, she had a really big role in how I view money. My mom was a very hard worker, and she worked 2 jobs just to make sure that we sustained.
Wow.
And she would get off her government job and leave and work, and she worked in a mental home with retarded and handicapped people. She worked there from the time she got off from the government job to I think 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Wow.
And so my dad, he was living in the house that we live in now, and he could not meet the payments in the house. And of course, my mom and dad they're separated. And so he decided to say, oh, I want you to come and take the house. I can no longer maintain the payments. He was like behind maybe 6 months in the mortgage payments. I don't know whatever they got going on over there. So she came in, she gutted the house out, and she used her money to rebuild the house and get the house back in standing. And I saw and watched her work hard as a woman to get that done. And so it just showed me that you can do anything if you put your mind to it. Because she walked in a situation that was already in debt. And she didn't have to do that. But because she wanted the house to stay in our name and stay in our family, she did what she had to do to get that done. So my mom is she's my hero when it comes to finances. And I just watched her over the years just work really, really hard to get the money that she needed to be able to maintain and sustain herself in financially. So once I got older, she already had me at a place where I was already used to having what I want. I was already used to living a certain way. I'm already used to eating a certain way. I'm already used to being treated a certain way. So therefore, I already have a high standard. So I'm not going to allow my life to be lower than what she has already set for me.
That's so good.
So one thing that once I got a job, my first job was at Blockbusters. So once I got a job, when I started getting my checks, I was already starting to save up money. Or I would use my money to do the things that I wanted to do. And before I even got a job, I remember one time, and this is when I decided I was like, oh, I would never not be without money. Because I'm like really heavy on my hair. And I wanted my hair done. I would get my hair done every week like I do now. And and I didn't have the money to go get my hair done. I said, this is a problem.
Okay.
So for me not to have the money to not have my hair done, I was like, because to me that's an essential thing for me. I want my hair done every week.
Okay.
And so I was on the floor putting together quarters so that I could get my hair done because this is something that I really wanted. And so I did what I had to do, but I was like, I would never put myself in a position to not have money to do the essential things that I need in my life. And so I just started to save my money and put my money up. Of course, I had times where I relapsed and went into debt and things, but I always learned how to dig my way out. And I'm just telling you, like, it's because I just watched my mother dig her way out of a lot of financial situations. And so I just learned from her.
You know, I'm listening to what you're saying, but one thing I want to point out is, shout out to your dad who had enough wisdom to ask your mother to come in and take over.
Absolutely.
Because some men with their pride would have just kind of, that's it, and they went on out of the way. So I really want to, because sometimes men feel like they're not doing enough or they didn't make the right decision. But we heard a story tonight that a dad had enough wisdom to say, listen, I don't know what's going on. I'm not able to take care of this right now. Can you help out? And shout out to your mother who was said, didn't talk about him so bad and was able to say, you know what? Okay, I'll take this on. I'll do this. I'll do this for you, and did good with it. That's a beautiful story. I like what I heard. It kind of gives me, it's just like, okay. And if a lot of men would just step up now and move the pride out of the way and talk about how they deal with finances and ask for help. Because what he did, he asked for help.
Yes.
So if you need help tonight, give us a call at 240-719-2560 if you need help with your financial situation. That is an example right there of a man really being a man.
Yes.
See, we look at it. If we look at it, we'll think, oh, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, but he did one thing right.
Yeah.
Wow, that just gets me. That gets me. He did one thing right. To ask his wife to, you know what? I know things are like, and I like the way you said it, you respectfully. You understand what I'm saying? We heard what you said, but you said it respectfully.
Yes.
Which was a beautiful thing.
I was thinking about two things. I was thinking about discipline, the discipline that it takes to dig your way out, then also having a vision, and then knowing or learning how to dig your way out. Can you speak on that, the importance of, number one, having a vision, a strategy, meaning a strategy or a plan, but then number two, the discipline in order to be consistent in executing the plan?
Okay, well, I think the first thing that you have to realize is anytime you got to dig your way out of something, it means you got to make a sacrifice.
Okay, speak on that.
So if you are now willing to make a sacrifice, then it's not going to work. One of the points that I'm going to actually talk about later is about faith and how everybody say, yeah, I got faith, but the Bible also says that faith without works is dead. So if there's no works behind you wanting to dig your way out, which means that, hey, I might have to go and get me a second job.
That's good.
I might have to work at a restaurant. I might have to work at a retail store. I might have to do Uber. I may have to do Lyft. What do you have to do to get yourself out of that?
I love it.
That deep place, that dark place. What was your second question?
I was thinking about number one. The first one was strategy or having a vision, and then number two, disciplining yourself. Right. You spoke on how your mother was consistent. You watched her be consistent in disciplining herself because it was important that she get through that.
Right.
That process or that experience that she was having. Sometimes we as a people can be a little wrapped up in materialistic things, and it can get out of hand. Right. Because there's no discipline. Right. Or you've allowed yourself to be disciplined for a certain amount of time, but then when you decide to treat yourself, sometimes we go too far with treating ourselves, and then we have to try to figure out a way to reel ourselves back in. Right.
So now I was young when this happened. Okay. I remember snippets of it. I think when we left initially, I was 3, and then when we came back, I think I was 12. But I watched my mom strategically. First of all, when you're doing something like this, you need people around you to support you.
I like that. That's
especially
a good point.
If you have children.
Good
so
point.
She had a child, and she had a good support system around her, because in order for her to work 2 jobs, for her to get out of that debt, someone had to watch me.
See, that's good.
And so, there was different people. My aunts, my brother's girlfriends, you know, they really put themselves in a place. So I was always in safe hands. And that's another thing that don't be so blinded while you're trying to get yourself out of something that you don't keep your kids in a safe place.
Ooh, that's so good.
So that's one thing that they did, that she placed me in a safe place and safe hands. And of course I was with my father at times. So that's one thing, is that you have to have a support system. So once she had that support system, she was able to work those 2 jobs and was able to put those things into place.
That's so good.
So, and she had to be disciplined. I'm sure it was times she was tired. I'm sure it was times she was frustrated. I'm sure it was times she wanted to go on a trip.
Yeah.
She wanted to do different things,
That's
but
good.
she did that sacrifice not to do those things in order for her to get the house back on track. Because now that house is something that can be passed down to her children's children.
Right.
This is in our family for however we want to keep the house in our family.
Wow.
Inheritance, a legacy.
Yes. So sometimes your sacrifice does leave a legacy. And it should.
Wow.
You should want to leave a legacy for your children.
That's what I was getting ready to touch on. How important should it be to, whether it's a single parent or married couple, for you to establish a legacy? Because we could want things. We could want cars. We could want houses. We could want jewelry. You name it. We want it. But then after that, there should be something else.
Yes. You're right.
There should be something else.
You should want to build something that it will
that has your name on it.
Yeah, and it will sustain beyond your now.
Yeah, that's so good.
Like, your money should go. So if I put my money inside of a bond, in 7 years, that money is going to be worth way more than it is worth in the present now.
That's good.
So you have to, that's the same thing as when you start to budget your money and you begin to think financially healthy, then you're going to start thinking about your future. You're going to start thinking about your children's children. You're going to think about how you can purchase future properties and get into trust funds and things like that, so that your money is always turning over and over and over and building and building.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because what happens in our African American community, we never put our money into things that gives us a return.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we have a
that's
few
good.
people that do
That's
it. I'm
good.
not going to say this is, everybody, but for the most part, from our experiences, we go buy clothes, we buy cars,
Exactly.
we buy jewelry,
Yeah.
we buy stuff that doesn't come back, has no return on it
That's
at
good.
all. And then we looking around, and all we can see is our clothes, our jewelry, and our car. And sometimes we can't even afford to pay for that.
Yeah.
But
That's
we went
good.
out there, and we're not taking an interest on making an interest. So,
That's good.
So tonight, if you're having some struggles, give us a call at 240-719-2560. So I have a question to ask you now, right? A lot of people are, like you said, you have to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, whatever the case may be. But you have a lot of people who are so down about their finances that they just sit on the couch. And they feel like they don't have the energy.
Okay.
Right? They don't have the energy to do it. They feel like they've tried it before. It's not working. I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to sit here and whatever happens, happens. Because a lot of men have done that. I've been one of those when things were just so tight, and I'm just like, okay, there's really nothing else for me to do. I just got to wait and see what happens. That's a bad place to be. What kind of advice would you give somebody that may be right now, sitting on the couch right now, thinking, this is just too much?
That's a good question.
You know what I would say? You have to pray.
Okay.
Number one.
Okay.
And also, it also goes back to that support system.
Okay, that's good.
I have friends that I met in high school, and I called them my lifelong friends. And when we get together, we don't talk about, we talk about relationships and we talk about different things like that. But one thing that we do talk about is money.
That's good.
And all of them are successful. All of them have been to college. They have their master's degrees. One of us has children. She was married. And we have no children. They have properties and they got businesses. So when you surround yourself with people who are doing something,
That's good.
when one of us is down, we go and see about them.
Wow, that's good.
So that's one thing that you definitely have to have.
Okay.
Another thing is, like, if you're sitting on that couch right now and you feel like you cannot get yourself out of it, seek out a financial coach.
That's good.
Seek out even a financial program that you may have at your church. Seek out somebody who is talking to you or shows some signs that they're financially responsible,
This is good.
so that you can get yourself out of it. And like I said, pray that God will send the right people in your life to get you out of that rut. because people can be depressed and you can get in certain ruts, and it's hard to come out of those things. But if you got the right people surrounded around you, no one who loves you is going to let you stay down.
That's good right there.
I like that because most of the time, even I come from the addiction world, and most of the time when we're going through that, when we're out of drugs, we're out of money, whatever the case may be, we kind of gravitate to the people that are right where we're at.
Right.
Because the people who are really doing it, they're not really interested in it. You can't buy, we're not interested. So now you sit down with the people who, both of y'all are sitting there hoping something happens. So it's very important that the people that you are around.
Yes.
And you have to know that there's something better. Exactly. For me, growing up in foster care, all my life, the one thing, and I still think it, there's got to be something better.
Yes.
There's got to be something better.
Is good.
Now it may be some things I'm doing I'm not seeing better yet, but I still know that there's got to be something better. And I just believe that tonight that somebody has to know there's got to be something better than what you're going through right now. Give us a call at 240-719-2560. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
All right.
Welcome back to the Randell Fisher Show. Tonight we're still talking about finances. If you have any questions about finances, please give us a call at 240-719-2560. Dr. Lori is here with us tonight, and she is doing such a great job educating us. That's why if you see me a little quiet and just staring at her, because I'm trying to learn for myself tonight. So, Dr. Lori, tell me something. What is the best way to save money?
The best way to save money.
Yeah, in your opinion.
Okay. First of all, you need to create a budget. That's the first way. So a budget is basically your spending plan.
Okay.
So we make plans for everything else. We make plans to go on a trip. We make plans for our week. We even make plans to lose weight.
That is true.
We make all these plans, but do we make plans for our money? So when you get ready and you say, okay, I want to save money, first you got to create a budget, because you need to see how much money can you save? How much money can you afford to save?
That's good.
Because if you overextended in your expenses, it's going to be hard for you to save money. So that's the first thing they need you to do. So when you do your budget, the first thing that you have to do is you put your income down. How much money do you make in a month? So you put that down in a month. Then you write down all of your expenses, every single one of your expenses. So one tool that I use to track my expenses is a website called mint.com, mint.com.
Okay.
When you go to mint.com, you put every card that you use, every credit card, every bank card, you put all that information there. You can even put your car information in there, your insurance information in there, and they put all your information inside of that system. And it budgets, it shows a spreadsheet or a pie chart of how you spend your money. So you go in there, you can see that you spent 85% of your money in restaurants, or you spent 20% of your money on clothes.
That's good.
So that way you can start to see how do you spend your money. And actually, this is a good time to go on there and do it, because it's going to bring all your income from all of 2019, and it's going to give you a picture of how you spent your money this year.
For the entire year.
Scary.
For the entire year.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is
that's
scary.
scary right there.
Yeah.
That's scary.
And then also on mint.com, you can create a budget.
Okay.
And when you create your budget, you're going to go in, you're going to look at all your expenses. You're going to see where you overextended. You're going to see where places where you underextended. You're going to see how much money you made for that year. And you're going to see where your money went. Okay. And so once you create that budget, you're going to create that budget so that you can save. Okay. So you're going to have to cut back on going out to restaurants, which means that you got to cook.
Right.
I like that.
Because people don't want to cook no more. You know, I be trying.
Well, we'll talk about that on another segment. We have somebody that can help us out with that, but we won't do that tonight. But if you have any questions tonight, give us a call at 240-719-2560.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Since we're in the season of Christmas, there's been Thanksgiving. During these holidays, people spend a lot of money.
A lot.
And after Christmas is over and you have overextended yourself, sometimes people spend more than what they expect, as you know. And then at the beginning of the year, they're stressed out because they're trying to figure out, how in the world am I going to get through this? And I think my question is, because you hear this a lot, how can you get back, or how can you begin to restore in those areas where you have overspent yourself? Okay. And not be so stressful.
Okay. Well, first of all, you have to come into the realization that you have overextended yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
Like, really, this is your truth. Like, you have to, I really have done. And then you have to come to a place where do you want better? Because your motivation is everything.
Okay.
And then you're going to do whatever you have to do to make sure that you don't get back to that place again. It's a fight. So for Christmas, if I already know that every year since whenever, I go and I buy all these gifts and I overextend myself every year.
Right.
When I'm going, I'll create my budget for the next year, where I decide that I'm coming to myself and I'm going to discipline myself financially. Okay, I'm in my budget, because you have long-term goals, you have intermediate goals, and then you also have short-term goals. So that could be one of your long-term goals.
Okay.
So when you set your goals for your budget, you're going to say, okay, for Christmas this year, I want to spend $2,000.
Okay.
So you set up, if you're disciplined enough, you can set up an account and put, okay, so if you're starting in January, you got $2,000.
Okay.
Right.
You're going to save $166 a month. Now, when you do your budget, If it show that you cannot do that, that means that you can't do $2,000.
Right. And you have to accept
right.
that.
So once you do your budget, because when you do your budget, you're going to have your income and you're going to have your expenses. And at the bottom, it's going to tell you whether you either overextended or if you underextended. You want to be underextended because you want to have money left over after you pay your bills. Wow. That's the only way you're going to be able to save.
Okay. Because truth be told, some people have a spending addiction.
Yeah. Big time.
Shopping addiction.
Oh, yes. I love a garment.
And
she's supposed to be teaching us.
But there's a balance here. She enjoys spending on what she likes, but she still knows how to balance. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the key. You were talking about knowing what you can handle as far as what you need, but then also understand that there's some things you might like to do. Like you said, get your hair done once a week, but you can budget your expenses in order to fit that in.
Exactly. So one thing that I sacrificed this year was traveling.
Okay.
Now, every year since whenever, I've go to 2 different countries a year. So this year was the only year that I did not do that.
Okay.
Because I knew that I wanted to do some things. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Because I can easily spend $5,000 on 2 trips out of the country. Probably even more than that.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm not going to do that this year. And so that was one thing that I sacrificed. But next year, I'm going on a trip. And so, therefore, I've already, in my mind, have said, okay, where am I going to cut up back in certain areas so that I still don't get myself back to where I was, back into debt because of trips that I want to go on. So now you have to do a travel account. So when I do my budget, I'm going to see what areas can I cut back on so that I can get, but you still have to pay the essential things.
That's
you need to pay your credit cards. You need to pay your bills on time. Those are the things that you have to do. So after I've handled my business, what do I have left to as play money to do other things, extracurricular activities that I want to do? You have to really have a discipline because you can't stop paying your light bill or don't pay it for 2 months, go on a trip and come back, and then
your lights are out.
Your lights are out, and then you asking people for money, and you just all over the place.
And people tend to do that.
You don't want to do that.
And that's not a good habit. And be okay with it. It doesn't even out because you come back stressed.
Exactly.
And what I've seen some people do is they go on the vacation, spend that money, then they're stressed
out
after the vacation because they realize they shouldn't have spent the money.
Exactly.
Well, it doesn't iron out.
It don't.
And so you really didn't benefit from that.
You didn't. You know what the Bible says?
What's the
Bible
say? Talk about
that
the
a
Bible.
borrower
is
a slave to the lender. And when you continue to put yourself in a place where you're always overextending yourself,
that's good.
You become a slave to the lender. So now you got to keep trying to find ways, as Pastor would say, trying to rob Peter to pay Paul. That's how you live your life. And it's just not a sane way to live.
That's good. I love it.
And you're caught in trying to keep that relationship with the lender. You know, you don't want to offend the lender. You don't want to. You got to walk a tightrope when you borrow something from somebody until you pay it back. You know what I'm saying? So while you're going through all that, you got to go through that tightrope, and they may even say something to you a little jazzy because that's the kind of person that they are.
Right.
But you know what? I like what you're saying. But for some people, like for me, that's giving me a headache. Thinking about all the different things you like to do. And I know why it's giving me a headache because I come from a world where, you know, it was free money. You know what I mean? In a sense, and you kind of spending, and you're not even calculating how you spend it. You just kind of spend it. And a lot of us have came from that era where we had that kind of situation in our lives. And how do you tell a person that used to just spend, right? I'm talking to, let me just say it like this. I'm talking to the hustlers now.
That's right.
To the gamblers now. I'm talking to y'all tonight because some of y'all are not doing it anymore. And you're suffering from the fact that you're not able to have the money like you used to have. So now you're depressed because you don't have that money and you're wavering. You're thinking I should go back to what I've been doing. And people are telling you, no, you should do it this way because God wants you to do this way. So I'm going to talk to them for a few minutes.
Okay.
And so I'm asking Lori to help you understand on tonight what it is that you need to do to get yourself out of that even mindset.
That's good. That's good.
Well, you just used to splurging, you used to doing.
Exactly.
That's going to take a level of dying.
Okay.
You got to die to your old self because that was a fantasy you was living. Okay. That's not real life.
I like that.
That was that was a world that you created.
A world that you created.
And now that you came to a place where you want to be integral,
my God, come on.
you have to literally change everything about who you are. And that even your hunger for the things that you want. Because you have certain desires that you get. Once you get to a level of money, if I was making $100,000 or if I made $1 million a year, and all of a sudden I lose everything,
Yeah.
you going to probably just, I mean, I don't want you to have a stroke, but you're going to panic. You're going to be stressed out because you're used to living that high life.
This is good.
And so you have to literally come all the way down in your thinking, in the things that you want. That's a serious humility process.
Yes.
And it's just a level of dying that you have to go through.
You know, I like what you say. You say a level of dying because some people actually feel like dying when they don't have what they used to have, and they're not able to do it anymore. And I've heard a lot of young people, even I used to say it myself, I'm not working on 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? When I can make this kind of money just hanging out on the corner all night, I can make this kind of money. But I know a lot of people who have changed their lives. That's why I brought that up. I know a lot of people who are trying to do better now. A lot of people who don't want to go to jail. A lot of people who don't want to look over their shoulders. They actually really want to get it right, and they want to do it the right way. But they're dealing with something. Now, I brought that out because me being a person who I suffer from addiction, but I've been clean and sober for 14 years. But I recognize one thing, that I still had some behavior that went along with my addiction that I haven't gotten in check yet.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? I have some thoughts that I have not gotten in check yet because it's part of my addiction.
Right.
You see, so I got that covered. I don't have to worry about getting high or drinking or doing any of that no more. I believe I have that. But I know I still have some behaviors that go along with it.
Right.
And you don't know when that thing is going to really pop for you. Like, oh, I'm free. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why this is so important tonight, because a lot of people just want to be free. They just want to be free, and that's why it's called debt free. Because people want to be free. If you want to be free tonight, give us a call at 240-719-2560.
I like this. I like what you said, because one key point you said is that you're going to have to change your whole way of thinking, change your life. And I'm the type of person where I know what I need and what I want, what I don't have to have, so to speak. I'm the type of person, you know what, I think you can be creative. If you're trying to save your money in one area and okay, well, I can't vacation this year, then there's little things, and you can speak on that too. There's little things you can do in between to keep those type of activities or things that you would like to do. So you don't have to have a 2-week or an 8-day vacation. You can do something else that's fun within your area. Can you speak on that? All right, we got a call.
We have a caller on the line. Caller, go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, who am I have the pleasure of talking to?
This is Ambria.
This is who? I can't hear you.
Turn her volume.
This is Ambria.
Ambria.
Hi, Ambria.
How are you, Ambria?
Good, how are you?
We are excellent. How can we help you tonight?
So what is a way that I'm able to manage all of my credit card debt?
Good question.
What was the question? She's looking away. How does she manage her credit card debt?
All of them.
All of them? Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so one thing with your credit card debt, one thing that you have to do is, first, before you make the budget, it depends on how many credit cards you have. How many do you have that have balances? 2. Okay, that's good.
That's
not that bad.
Actually.
All right, so when you go and you first you want to write down your balance, how much you owe. Then you want to create your budget. So when you create your budget, you put down all your expenses, of course, outside of the credit cards. And then what you're going to do is you separate your essential expenses from your credit card expenses so that you can see what the difference is. Once you do that and you have the balance of how much you owe, you put in your mind, when do you want to pay this credit card off? So let's say you want to pay it off by the end of this year. But when you are getting ready to do the budget, once you say, okay, I'm going to pay $250 on this credit card a month, You also, in the balance column, you have to add in the interest that is going to be added to the balance after your payment. Because when you have credit cards, of course, you have interest. So that could be a strategic way to create a budget so that you can pay your credit card down. Another thing that you can do is you find a credit card that has no interest payment, and then you do a balance transfer, and you transfer your balance to that credit card. That credit card is going to have a date that you have to pay that balance off by. You have to pay it off by that time, or it's going to start accumulating interest on the other credit card.
That's good.
Wow.
Because that's an easy way to pay it down without the interest.
Okay.
So those are two essential ways that you can do to pay that credit card down quicker. And also don't keep charging it up.
That's good.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much. Excellent advice. Thank you.
Did we help you tonight?
Yes, you absolutely did. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You said something that I wasn't aware of, that they actually had no interest credit cards.
There's different specials that go on your different credit cards. Even the ones that you have now.
Okay.
If you pay attention, when they have different promotions that they do. And when that promotion pop up, you can do a balance transfer and transfer money to that account. But it's a fee. So it's like some of them have like a 3%, or you pay a certain fee, whichever one is higher. Okay. But it's worth it. If you're transferring $3,000, it's worth it.
Okay. I like the caller when you asked her how many credit cards does she have. How many credit cards should a person have?
That's good. Good question.
It depends on how much money you make.
Okay.
If you can't handle the money that you gonna be putting on them cards,
That's good.
then you shouldn't have them.
Okay.
Because if you get a card, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna get it, you're gonna start using it. The more you use it, that balance is gonna inch up. Before you know it, you're gonna have a $20,000 purchase, be able to purchase that much credit limit. You can imagine somebody who don't have spending discipline with $20,000 on a credit card.
That's good.
You're gonna be going everywhere, Hawaii and everything, and before you know it, you back in debt.
So should you have one or two? I mean,
I think that if you make a certain amount of money, you should have two. But the thing is the balance, the credit limit.
Okay.
Just make sure that because what happens is once you get a credit card, if you charge the card up, when you pay the card off, how it affects your credit is if you pay it all the way off, your credit is not going to be affected because the bank want to know that they making money off of you.
Right.
But if you pay it down to only owing 30%, so you owe 100 and you pay, 80.
Okay.
And so you got $30 left. You're gonna get interest on that $30, right? So after that, then $20. Then after that, what's gonna happen is the bank gonna say, "Oh, they're a good customer," and guess what? Your score gonna go up. So that's how those credit card things. But they got bad debt and you got good debt. Bad debt is when you get credit cards and you just spending money on the card. You're not making no money off of it. Good debt is like if I go get a line of credit for my business,
that's good.
I'm going to create my business so that I can make money off the money that the bank gave me. And that I be able to, the money that I make is going to be more than they gave me. So I can just pay the money off.
That's good.
So you want to use credit effectively.
Okay. So help us understand tonight about interest rates. Because, you hear this interest rate, whether it's 7.5, 4.2, or whatever the case may be. What is a good interest rate? Because a lot of people really don't know what that is. Really don't know what that means.
7.5 on a credit card is fantastic.
Okay.
Yes, most of them are 29 point. That's 30, almost 30%.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
Exactly.
To be paying every month on a $2,000 credit card.
Now, does it matter what type of credit you have as far as credit cards is concerned, what interest rate you get, or is just the credit card company itself have a standard interest rate?
I think it's both. It depends on the credit card.
Okay.
So some of them is based on the company, and some of them is based on you as a spender.
Okay.
So for example, I have an American Express.
Okay.
But when I first got the American Express, I think my interest rate was like 12% or something like that, which is really good for American Express. And also this is another thing that you can do. You get credit cards that have dual benefits. So it gives me points on any Delta flight that I want to take. So the more money I spend, my points add up, and then I get a trip to wherever I want to go on them, or basically on my spending points. And so, but now they just changed my interest rate just because.
Just because.
Yeah. So once they change it to a higher rate, now it's like it's at a higher rate. Mm-hmm. But they can change it at any moment. And that's something that was placed into law. And they can change it without notice.
Exactly.
Now that Trump is in office. Because before Obama had it so that they had to tell us.
Okay.
But now they don't have to.
Wow. You see, here we're learning about interest rates tonight. We're learning about government, what's going on in the government. As you see, she mentioned one presidency to another.
Yeah,
so
all
if
that
you have
stuff
any
changes.
questions tonight, give us a call at 240-719-2560.
One of the questions I had, I think we were just speaking on, as far as the little things that you can do in cutting back the things that you may not need. For instance, I was just speaking about taking a vacation. If you decide, according to your budget, I cannot afford to take a vacation because I'd rather take that money and invest it in something else or save it. I think that there's other little things that you can do to still enjoy your moments of fun or pleasure. Can you talk on that? Because some people can just cut out vacation and think that, okay, there's nothing else for me to do. Just save. But there's some little things that you can do in between the discipline.
It definitely is. First of all, research is key. A lot of people don't like to research. And so there are different trips that you can take that are not expensive. And there's a lot of places that like right here in this country. We have not been in so many places that are here.
That's good.
That you can go and find a trip and drive there. You know, you can get a affordable, decent hotel and stay there and have a great and wonderful time on a budget.
On a budget.
One thing that I did this year, I actually did go out of the country, but it was on a cruise. But I don't be counting those. But, but anyway, I went on a cruise. That cost me, I think, $400.
See?
So compared to the trips that I usually take, which are way more, that was in my budget. Okay, I could just pay that and I could go. Plus, I was with family. It was a good time. You know, it was a good trip. And so it's different things that you could do. There are travel companies that have different packages.
Yes.
You could travel as a group.
Yes.
That also makes things cheaper because you got more people in the hotel room.
Yes.
Where if you only go by yourself or you go with one other person, then all the expenses are just on two people. But if you bring a whole group of people, make sure y'all mesh. If you go to a whole group of people, then your expenses come down. So it's different things that you can do. Go to Miami, you can get some really
place.
Go down there, stay on the beach.
My favorite place.
Go to Mangoes, have a good time.
This is good.
So the question that comes to mind for me is, I know in addiction, I always try to reference that. They tell you one day at a time. What's a slogan you would use for somebody who's saving? Because a lot of people want to see it happen right away.
That's good. That's good.
You see what I'm saying? A lot of people just want to be like, okay, I got $10,000 right away. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? What? How can you help us?
You know what I would say? Don't watch it grow.
There you go. See?
Don't watch it grow.
Don't watch it grow.
I like that.
One thing that I had to do so that I because some people don't have the discipline. So I took my money that I save is not in the money that I spend account. I have a spending account. I also have a savings account. But that savings account is also in another bank. And that bank is downtown DC, and I don't even think it's open on the weekends. Well, I don't even go in DC in the weekends, so unless I'm going to go do something. But I go to that bank during the week, and any money that I have that I want to save, I put that money in there during the week. That way, if something comes up and they say, okay, if a expense come up and they be like, okay, I'm going to try to find out how I can get that money without going to that bank account because I don't want to go all the way down there to get it.
Right.
That's good.
So whatever you have to do to make sure you don't touch that money, that's what you have to do. Another thing that I did was I took some of my money and I put it in a CD.
Yes, yeah.
Even though it doesn't have a great return, I can't touch that money for a year.
Right.
So, and it's a substantial amount of money. So when you leave that money in there, I can't touch that money. So if somebody say, "Oh, can I borrow?" Oh,
I don't.
I can't get it.
Right.
I can't get to it until a year unless you want to wait a year.
Right.
Then I can let you borrow. So those are two things. You want to put your money in a CD, or you want to put your money in a place where you're not going to get to it. Also have some discipline and try to find a way to cover your expenses without you having to go into your savings.
So now,
if you have to go.
Yeah.
But if you don't have to, don't.
Now, I'm sorry. I guess I'm right. And doing that now with that type of account, do you have an ATM card? Do you have checks or anything, or just basically just putting money into your savings?
Yeah, I do have that, but I don't use it.
but you do have it.
Yeah, I do have it.
Now, to me, that's for me that would be unsafe for me.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So I would need one of those accounts where I just
put it in there.
Put it in there.
Have no ATM
I don't have
card.
no.
You can opt. You can opt not to get one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you can opt.
Okay, all right. Because
But
I
I
tried
know,
that as well.
I know for me,
Okay.
I feel safe if my account is at a certain level.
Okay.
I don't feel safe when it's not. And so
I like that.
I'm not going to allow myself to go to a place where I spend money irresponsibly on anything. If it's an emergency, then you have to do what you have to do. But I just won't do it. But it's me. But everybody got different disciplines.
Okay. So now you're at the age that you can do that, right? Let's talk about somebody who's older, have retired.
Okay, that's good.
And they're not even getting enough money to even pay their bills, actually. What can we do for them?
I think one thing that you have to do when you get older and you retire, first of all, before you retire, if you can, try to make sure your house is paid off. Because that's going to be one less expense that you got to worry about.
That's true.
That mortgage right there is going to be your biggest expense. Then you all you got to worry about is the property tax.
That's true.
So if you can't do that, then you need to downsize. A lot of people don't want to do that. And you have to downsize to a place where you can afford to where you live at.
Right.
So if you downsize, you want to get into maybe a condo, or you want to do a Golden Girl style. Find some. I mean, if you're not married, you can find some people that you can get some roommates.
That's true.
It's different things that you can do to make sure you can sustain that lifestyle that you have.
That's good.
And sometimes they do sacrifice with you having to allow people to live with you or rent your rooms out in your house.
Yes.
They have Airbnb now, where if your house is in a decent neighborhood, you can rent out your house to Airbnb with people who want to come in town for different things. If you're in a good area, it's different things that you can do.
Okay, because I hear a lot of seniors saying that check just doesn't cut.
Just don't cut it.
They don't.
Yes.
They got to make
also
a
have senior
decision
living
for
homes.
food, or they got to make a decision about medicine. They got
I
to make
do
a
hear
decision
that, too.
about clothes, whether they should wash their clothes or go
One
to
or
the
the
cleaners.
other.
They have so many things that they have to deal with, struggle with back and forth, as far as and I would love to see somebody like yourself actually help some seniors out.
Okay.
Because a lot of seniors need some help. I think there's a market there. I don't know how much money you would make off of them, but there's a market there
Definitely.
that they would appreciate somebody just coming in and say, okay, I know you get this much from Medicare, or maybe you get this much from your retirement. So let's sit down and let's see what we can do.
Right.
I just believe there's a high market for that because I work at the hospital and a lot of seniors come through and they talk about a lot of different things.
Exactly.
And people in my family who are seniors, they're talking about how hard it is to make it from one day to the next with what they're getting. So I think that's a good thing.
I do have a question. Let's go back just for a little. You said when you talked about emergency fund, or you talked about saving your money and disciplining yourself on not touching it unless you have to. How important, or give me your opinion on, if you end up withdrawing money from that account, how important is it for you to put that same money back into that account that you took out? Because I think for me, what I don't like out of experience, I don't like to take out and never put it back.
Okay.
That doesn't sit well with me. I feel better if
makes
I
sense.
start putting
Pay
it
yourself
back.
back. Yeah, that's one thing I do too. So one thing. So at the beginning of the year, you're gonna set an amount of money that you want to save, and you're gonna be tracking that on your spreadsheet as you go throughout the year. So on that, you're gonna have an emergency. You say, okay, I had to take out $1,200 out my savings account. So
Okay.
now you $1,200 short from your goal.
Right.
So now you have to readjust your budget.
Right.
So okay, you're gonna look on your budget. What can I do to make sure I get
That's
that money
good.
back? What sacrifice can I make
Right.
to make sure I make that $200 back? And that's when either you do a part-time. Another thing that we miss out on is creating streams of income.
Okay.
That's good. Let's speak
Some
on
people
that.
need to. We need to begin to create businesses. And one thing that we missed when Trump got in office, a lot of people missed, is that he's a businessman. So he created the budget for business people to profit.
Absolutely.
And he has so many rules and regulations and things that, and tax credits that business people can benefit off. If you have a business and you do your taxes this year, you're going to benefit. because you have that stream of income. And so now you're going to be able to write off everything.
Okay.
Why? Because he created the budget for that. So when people go into office and different office, you got to begin to listen to what they're saying and see how you can benefit from it. You might, even though you may not like them.
I think that's
you
good.
need to begin to benefit from what they're doing. Find a way to benefit from it.
I
So
like that.
that's one thing that you have to do is you have to go and say, how am I going to make this money back? Am I going to not go on a trip? Am I not? If I'm not going to eat out for the next 3 months?
I love it. That's good.
Am I going to just cook or eat college life ramen noodles for the next 3 months or next month or so? So you have to figure out, it's sacrifice that you have to make so you can meet your budget, meet your goal. So whatever sacrifice you have to make, you have to do that. And you have to discipline yourself to get there.
You know, I like what you're saying
I
about
love this.
discipline because, you know, even I always refer to this. They call this an addiction. You know, when we're doing well and we've been clean for a while, this is a word that they use. They call it good-itis, right? So you get that good-itis where you feel like you deserve something.
Yeah.
You feel like I got to go out and I can take me a drink because I've been clean for a while. I'll be okay. Or I can do this or I can do that because I've been clean for a while. Talk to us about that as far as the finances. So somebody's been saving, you know, they on the right track and they just feel like I deserve something.
Right.
It's good.
How does that work? In that
Well, first of all of us deserve a good break.
Okay.
So if you feel like you one of those type of people who going to need, you know, a good time every now and again, put it in your budget.
Wow.
You can put it in there.
Wow.
A good time. This is my fun money.
Okay. I like that.
You know?
I like
So
that.
if you put that in your budget, okay, this is my fun money. And, okay, every month I have $80 that I can use to go out to dinner or go wherever.
Put a price on it.
Yeah, put a price on it. So when you go out and you look at that menu,
You know not to go over a certain amount.
don't order filet mignon with a steak and you see it costs $88. It's then you over budget.
That's good.
So you gotta discipline your taste to what you want to do. It's a sacrifice because in a couple years when your accounts where they need to be, you're gonna be able to order whatever you want.
That's good.
You gotta know that the prize is coming. You're just doing a sacrifice right now.
That's good, Gloria.
I like what you just said. Know that the prize is coming because a lot of times we look at it as such a long way, so far ahead of us that we're just not gonna get there. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's just not going to happen.
It's taking too long.
It's taking too long. I'm just not going to make it, so I might as well just go ahead and dip into this money now because I'm really not going to get into it. You know, it's not going to happen for me because it's taking too long. So I like what you said when you on the onset of the story. On the onset of the show. I'm sorry. You was telling us about when you lost your job. So what happens if someone is going on pretty well, they have money saved, and then they end up losing their job?
Okay.
Where should they be?
So,
But let me rephrase it.
Okay.
How do you prepare for that? The possibility of you could lose your job because everybody can lose their job.
Exactly.
So I want to rephrase that question. How do you prepare for that? The possibility. You don't want to think that I'm going to lose my job,
Right,
but
but
the
it can
possibility you can lose your job. I've seen people been on the job 30 years, 15 years, 16 years, and one day they just come in and say, "Hey, we don't need you no more." So how do you prepare for unemployment?
Okay. I think, first thing is we need to come to the realization that most people are only one paycheck away
There we go.
from being bankrupt. So if you already there, you already know that you need to begin to go on a financial fast.
That's your key.
So research shows that every person should have at the least 6 months of their salary saved up.
Okay.
So if you had 6 months of your salary saved up, that means that if you lose your job integrally, and you're able to get on unemployment, you're going to have the unemployment check that you have 6 months of your regular salary saved up.
Right.
That's your emergency fund.
Yes.
That don't even have nothing to do with what you saving. So once you do that, then you have once you save that, then you will have the ability to be able to live those next 6 months in peace because I got money saved up. Now, if you don't have it, then you're going to have to hustle, get a job. You're going to have to lessen your expenses. You may have to move in with someone. It's certain things. You might have to give up your car. You may have to give up certain luxuries because of drama or trauma.
So I like what you said about the part about giving up your car. Let's talk about that, because that's really the first thing people are just about lose is their car. They got the insurance, they have the note if they have a car that's being financed. And when you say give up your car, there's another side of giving up your car that you have to deal with, which affects your credit at the same time.
Yeah.
So how can somebody prevent that when that happens, as far as losing their car and still have to worry about paying that note?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing you can, not that I know of. I don't know if any strategies that you can do is if you can't pay your car note, you're going to have to give up your car, which means that you may have to take a hit to your credit, but at least you don't have that burden anymore of trying to pay something that you can't afford. Because I mean, some things you can always build your credit back up, but you trying to struggle every week to pay something that you can't afford, and then you don't have no peace. Your peace is way more expensive than any luxury thing that you can have.
If you're watching the show tonight and you're sitting at home and you're deciding whether you want to give your car back or keep your car or whatever the case may be, I like what Lori has said, that you can rebuild your credit. We're not advertising that you do that, but what we are advertising is peace tonight. A lot of times we get in that situation where we want to keep that car, and we just want to wait. We wait for the repo man to come and get that car. And that's the bad part. That really hurts you when you wait for the repo man. So if you feel like that's what you need to do, then maybe work it out. But there's also some things I think I heard of that you can do when you purchase a car, that you make sure you get that type of insurance on your car where they can pay, the car will be paid off. I went to somebody with a Jeep dealer, and they got that in their contract when they first bought the car, that if something happens, the car, they don't have to worry about it. The car will be paid off automatically. I don't know which dealers do that, but I know the Jeep dealer did do that for this person. So they got that in the contract. They also got in the contract if they was to pass away, they can just give their car to somebody else and it would be paid for. So these are some of the things I know that's out there that you can possibly do. We're going to take one more break for tonight, and then we're going to come back and we're going to work out a budget for a few minutes. So if you have any calls, give us a call at 240-719-2560.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good what you're talking about with the car.
Welcome back to the Randell Fisher
Yes.
Show. Tonight we're going to go into a budget with Loria.
Yes.
We're going to talk about a budget. We've created a budget on the air while we were doing a commercial break.
Yes.
And we're going to go ahead and have Loria talk to us about the budget that we came up with.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is a budget of a typical person. This is a one individual who has 2 children. So we just created a budget. I think 1 child. We just created a budget for this particular person who only makes $42,000 a year. Has $1,300 that's going to go into their mortgage. You have $150 that goes towards your utilities, which is probably underestimated. $250 for credit card debt payment. $180 for cable. $418 for car note. $50 for medications. $100 for travel, that's gas, if you need to catch the metro, those things like that. Insurance, you're going to pay another $400. Then daycare, you have $340. After that, because in the month, you're only going to make $3,200, $30.77, which is also underestimated because I did not take out taxes.
Okay.
So at the end of all that, after your expenses, you only have $42.77. But if you really calculate all the estimates of not taking out taxes and not really give real numbers, you're really over budgeted.
Yes.
For someone who's making $42,000
Yes.
a year. And so most people do have these typical expenses and they do live this way and only making $42,000. So that means that at this point, this person needs to make some sacrifices and make some adjustments because at this point, they need to find more income, either get on LinkedIn, start to upgrade your resume, do whatever you have to do to make more money so that you can cover the expenses, just the expenses that you have. You ain't even talking about living yet. We just talking about just covering your expenses just to live the basic things of life. Another thing that you may want to do is maybe create a business. That's one thing that you can do to create income. And there's other things that you can do as far as Lyft, Airbnb, what's the other one? Uber.
Yeah.
And all these other things that you can do to make money. But of course, that takes sacrifice of time that you have to do so that you can make the money that you need.
Did you hear what she said? Out of all that, she said you have like $42 left when you get paid. $42 a month, not even per pay. We're talking about monthly. $42. Now that would depress me right off the break. $42 a month. So anybody that feels like they don't have enough money left over at the end of their paying all their bills, and call us at 240-719-2560. So, Dr. Loria, I call her Dr. Loria because we call her Dr. Loria. So let's talk about faith.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about the people of faith tonight. We pray that people are listening, they're about faith. But let's talk about faith, a way to save money and have faith in saving your money from a spiritual perspective.
Okay.
So one thing that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So when you're talking about faith in your money, you have to literally live your life in a place where you see yourself as God sees you. Because God he says, I come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. So he wants us to live in the abundance of life. But we have to work ourselves out of this place, this ruddy place, in order for us to get to the place of abundance.
That's good.
Once you come to the mindset that you're ready to work and fight your way out of that place, that's when you're going to begin to see the substance. Because that's what you got to start seeing is the substance. Because once you start seeing the substance, then you're going to want to start moving towards the goal. The Bible says, I press towards the mark of the high calling, which is in Christ Jesus. So once you start pressing towards that high mark, because when you become Christ-like, Christ lived his life in a comfortable way.
Sure did.
And also, but Christ also lived his life where he relied on the earth to render what he needed.
That's true.
And so when you get to that place where you can walk in favor, where wherever you go, favor is going to start to become a part of your life. One of my friends, he's always talking to me about how people is always giving to him on his job. He's always, people always giving him, they even give him money, they giving them gifts, they giving him presents, but because he has lived a life to cause for people to see the Christ inside of him.
Yeah.
So now he living in a place of favor.
Okay.
And favor comes to him wherever he goes. People going to favor him because he has that light shining inside of him. So your faith is going to also affect your money.
That's good.
So when you get to a place where your faith is affecting your money, you're going to start to see the favor of God come upon your money. People going to start to come into your life and going to start to show you different pathways to get to that place of abundance. But you have to have that Christ mindset that Christ is going to supply the fish that has what I need. Because when you tell the disciples, he said, go in the fish's mouth and give Caesar what is his. But he was able to pay what he wanted. Why? Because the earth supplied what he needed. So when you get to a place where you're in Christ, the earth will begin to give you what you need. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
If
That's
it's the
good.
Lord's, then it's ours. Because he
Exactly.
said we are his children. And we reap the inheritance of who he is. So that is definitely a mindset shift. Faith is a mindset shift. Faith with money is a mindset shift. That you have to come out of the old mindset of how you spend money, how you look at money. Because if you look at money in an unhealthy way, if you only look at money to supply your basic needs, then that's all money going to do for you.
That's right.
Wow.
But you got to look at money as this money is going to create a legacy for me. This money is going to give me what I need in the future. This money is going to create pathways for me. This money is going to be it's seed. It's not just something to get me what I need, but this is seed that God has given me. And even if you sow it in different grounds, it's going to start to reap and come back to me.
Yes.
Wow.
But that's faith sowing. And that's
so
faith
good.
living and faith money.
So I'm hearing you, and I understand it. So let's talk about people who are struggling with tithing
Okay.
in the church,
good.
right? Because a lot of people, their faith is very weak when it comes to tithing in the church or giving in the church, giving their offering or giving their tithing or whatever else may come up. They feel like, I just can't afford to make that sacrifice. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay, so this is me.
Okay.
I believe in tithing, of course. I believe in giving your 10%, but I also believe in being a cheerful giver.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I get up every week to go to church and I give my tithe because of Malachi 3,
Okay.
yes, it commands that, I do that, but I don't give based on that command. I give because I'm a cheerful giver, as Jesus said. So Jesus said, be a cheerful giver. So I give, and I also give above that 10%. Because at this point, I'm giving out of my abundance.
Yes.
I'm not giving out of a command. Because he already did the command. But when Jesus said, be a cheerful giver, now I'm giving from another dimension. So when you struggling just to give, period, that's already a problem. So the question is do you struggle just to give, or are you just struggling with this 10%?
That's good.
Because if you're struggling with this as a 10%, then I feel, people may, fight against it, but I feel that you can adjust your giving. If you already underextended yourself and you're trying to get yourself out of something, then you just have to make the sacrifice. But I don't think you should not give anything.
That's good.
You should give something.
Okay.
Yes, adjust.
Yeah, adjust yourself
So
accordingly.
the people who are struggling out there with tithing, understand what she just said. She's saying if you are having difficulty tithing for whatever the reason, still give something until you're able to build up your faith enough where you actually do start tithing. Your heart should be where you want to be a cheerful giver, and and ask God, pray about it, and ask God to help you out when you have. We've all had difficulty with tithing in some time or another in our lives, I'm sure, but you have to still keep giving. We got to keep giving because God keep giving to us no matter what we do. We have to keep giving. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to have, let's my wife have, you have any more questions?
Well, I do know that Loria has a business.
Yes.
And I would love for her to share about the business that she has established.
Yes.
As a young woman.
Okay. Well, the business that I have is called Loria Lavana Consulting, in which I do bookkeeping for small businesses. This bookkeeping consists of doing accounts payable, accounts receivable, and payroll for these companies.
Yes.
And my slogan is "Business Made Easy," because I feel that small businesses, especially, that they should be able to focus on their product and service, and not have to focus on the business aspect behind the scenes of trying to get their business ran smoothly.
Yes.
So I want to be the one that comes in and say, okay, I will take care of your administration. I can take care of your payroll. I can take care of your accounts payable, your accounts receivable, and make sure all your books are prepared for the CPA when it comes to the end of the year. Because most small businesses have to prepare their books so that the CPA can be able to view them and give them all their deductions, all their credits that they need for their business to be successful.
Yes.
So that's one aspect of my business that is active right now. Another aspect that I want to get into this year is doing personal budgeting for different individuals.
Awesome.
Because I just want to begin to sow back into the community that discipline. Discipline of being financially disciplined. So one thing that I want to do is called financial freedom fasting.
I love it.
And so it's going to be a program where we will just meet quarterly. And when we come together that first time, of course, we will create a budget. We'll create that budget. And once you create that budget, you have 3 months to stick to that. And we're going to be supplying reading material, because knowledge is fundamental. And when the more you read about finances and you can see the benefits of just maintaining your money and being a person of discipline, you're going to begin to walk in a better place because you have the knowledge in your head to apply to your life. And so that's going to be one thing. So we're going to have reading. I'm going to have encouraging text messages that will go out to different people who want to join the group. So that will be one thing that I will be doing 2020. So that's what my business does. I will have a website up. It will be up tomorrow, actually. And so it's www.laurialavonconsulting.com. So that will be up. And also you can follow me on Facebook, on my Facebook page, which is also Lauria Lavon Consulting. So
awesome.
That's the things. And on the Facebook page, of course, we will have video tutorials and different things, references that you can go to so that you can find financial help.
So that means you can help us with our detail business. You can come in and budget that for. We do have a detail business, so Lauria can come in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask Lauria. Well, let's talk about something for 30 seconds before I do this, because I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know what God is going to do. But you have a spiritual background. Is that right? I know you sing and you preach and all of that good stuff. How does that work for you as far as finance is concerned? Do you approach your finances the same way you approach ministry?
I like to say I do.
Okay.
I like to look at myself as a kingdom financer.
Okay.
That's good.
So, and I live my life accordingly.
Okay.
The church that I'm a part of, I make sure that if any ministry that I'm on in my church, which is Healing Hearts Worship Center, 5840 Kirby Road, come out if you can.
Get the advertisement out there.
If it's anything in my church that is needed, I'll get it if I have the financial capacity to do that.
Okay. I like that.
Because I feel that if you make sure that God's house is handled, then He'll make sure that you're handled. And that's one thing that God has always sustained me, because I've always been a giver. That's just my heart.
Yeah,
that's one of my gifts that I give. And so I just make sure that I just want to be a kingdom financer. And then I also want to be able to sow into different vessels the knowledge and the wisdom that I know as far as money. Okay. And so even the thing that I'm doing next year, the Freedom Financial, that's not even going to really cost. If anything fee that I'll charge, it'll be so that we can eat or have supplies or whatever we need for the different gatherings that we're going to have. But it won't be for me. So these are different things that you have to have that mindset that you want to make sure that God's house has and that everything is supplied. And I'm not a selfish person.
You know, you said something. I always look for a confirmation. This morning I was coming to church and I came in and I saw that the parking lot was clean. I want to thank the ladies that cleaned the parking lot. But I felt so good on the inside that the parking lot was clean, because my responsibility is, the building. So I felt so good that when I mentioned it, and our pastor just got the people to jump right to it. But I had to ask God, why am I feeling so good about the parking lot being clean? I had to ask myself the question. I mean, I really felt like this was the best thing that I could feel for that day. And the Lord told me, He said, the way you care about my house is the same way I care about you.
Exactly.
And you just said that. And the way you clean my house is the same way I'm going to clean your house. Exactly. The way you're concerned about my house is the same way I'm going to be concerned about your house. And that thing just done me good. And just to hear you say that was a confirmation from what I heard from him, because I had to ask myself, wait a minute. You know, it's a whole lot of stuff I could want to be thankful for and a whole lot of stuff I think I need. But to see the church clean wasn't one of the things that was on my mind at that moment. So I thank you guys for cleaning up the church that day. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have Lori look into the camera for about 40 seconds and talk to somebody, Lori, that may not had a good childhood. You understand what I'm saying? They may have had to struggle for everything that they've got. They may have had to scrape and claw. I had a lady that was pretty good. I won't mention her name. Prophesied to me and said, "Look like I'm always like a cat, and it look like I'm always trying to scratch and get out of the barrel, but it seems like I keep falling back down." Wow. And this was years ago. This was back when I was first trying to become clean and sober. And she said, "I see you scratching, but every time you get to the top, you just drop back down." Let's talk to somebody that might be experiencing that.
Good.
All right. So I just want to encourage anyone out there who is even going through financially or going through emotionally, socially, economically, or any other way. First, I want to encourage you that God hears your heart. He knows your heart. He sees your heart. He sees your struggle. He sees what you're going through. Yes. And one thing is you have to understand that God cares about you. He cares about the state of your heart. Your heart is what is controlling the journey of your life, the journey of how you view things. You view things through your heart. And so from your childhood up, everything that has affected your heart. And the Bible says in Matthew 6:21, for where the treasure is, that is where your heart will be. And so over time, your heart has aligned itself with different things. Your heart has aligned itself with different people. Your heart has aligned itself with different paths. And now God is saying that he wants you to look at your treasure. When you look at your treasure, it's going to tell you the condition of your heart. And today, I just want you to realize that wherever your financial state is, it's because of where your heart is. If your heart is in different areas that is not beneficial to you, then you're going to start to feel the stress and the strain in your finances. So God is he's saying, daughter, son, I want you to begin to look at your heart. I'm concerned about your heart. I'm concerned about your journey. I'm concerned about how you're spending your money. I'm concerned about your income. I'm concerned about your expenses. I'm concerned about everything that concerns you. And so he's saying that he wants you to trust in me. The Bible says to trust in the Lord with all your heart.
Yes.
We're going back to the heart again. You trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Do not ignore your heart in this season. Do not ignore where your heart is steering you, the direction that is steering you in. Your heart, the direction that your heart is guiding you in, because God at this hour, in this time, he's getting ready to set you up for something supernatural to happen in your life. And if you don't listen to your heart, you're going to miss out on great opportunities for God to do something fantastic in your life. So at this point, I want you to listen to your heart. Lean not on to your own understanding, but in all your ways, begin to direct your heart. In all your ways, acknowledge the Lord, and he will direct your path. There is going to be avenues. There is going to be associations. There is going to be opportunities for you to change your heart and to change your journey about how you handle your money. Because how you handle your money is going to show you the different influence that you're going to have in the earth. When you change your money situation, then your influence change. And when your influence change, then your family change. And when your family change, then your community change. And when your community change, then your church can change. It all starts at your heart. So when you change your heart, then God can change your status. He can change your situation. He can change who you are. And so today, I just want to encourage you to listen to your heart. Allow your heart to carry you to a better place. Allow your heart to carry you to a place of abundance.
Wow. Ooh. Come on, let's give her a hand.
Awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think our time is coming to a close, but I want to just thank Lori for coming. I want to thank her guests for coming out tonight. I want to thank my wife. I want to thank Stan, the engineer. I am just grateful tonight that Loria graced us with her presence to talk about finances. My prayer is that somebody really got something out of tonight, that somebody will see things different. I know I see things different just by talking to her. I feel things different, but I feel like I can still make it. So I'm so grateful about that. So I don't want to miss out like I did last time. I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year, and God bless you all. Thank you so much for tuning in on tonight.
Happy New Year.
Did I cut too short?